I'll tell you, with the food, you really don't have to go any farther than step one. Step one said, I'm powerless. All my problems in life, when, hey, like I say, if you want to go into a house, you have to walk through the door. You don't get upset that you can't walk through the wall to get into a house or a room. Same with this. Once we realize and we have the humility to realize we're powerless and that we can't do anything about it, and we surrender, then everything opens up. And how it works, people say, well, what do you mean opens up? Well, what do you mean this God consciousness? Well, how it works is this. When we're paralyzed by fear, we can't think intuitively. We have all the answers in here. When you're centered, when you're happy, when you're in tune, what happens, you become in tune with what's around you. When you're in fear and when you're thinking the self, you're cutting yourself up from all the energy in the universe, all the consciousness, and it's just all out there with love for people, patience, and tolerance. Same with the food. When you come home, you want to close the shades and you isolate. It's all about the food. Or how about, when I'm driving in the car and I'm eating some food, I don't enjoy nature, the outside, or people, or things like that. We could go to a big affair where all our families there and all the people around us, and what are we dwelling on? We're thinking about the food. So through these steps in this process, we can do it. So let me just read a few more things here that they have here. It's totally amazing. It says, the practice of the 12 steps will with time relieve you of the desire to eat those foods or return to those eating behaviors. It's called eating behaviors designed for living. We needed here's this phrase, abstinence tastes better than food. Does that make any sense? I mean, when you think about it, does the light come on with that? That abstinence tastes better than food. Think about that. It's saying that when we stay away from these terrible, foods and concoctions that the big corporations lied to us and told us these with salt, oil, and sugar, and the ingredients are all made there. A food could have 3 times the ingredients it should normally have when it's all natural and it has all the nutrients in it. I mean, we could get more into that, but that's basically what it's saying. So if you eat all natural food, you could eat actually 3 times the amount of food. I mean, it doesn't have the oil in it, the sugar, the flour, all the synthetic things, which are very high caloric, the high caloric fat, and all of these things. We were brainwashed and addicted to that. Just like we were addicted to alcohol and drugs, or addicted to having, again, it all relates to everything we're talking about here, relates to all of life. It all has to do with life. Addicted to, we talked, as I said, when we grew up, we had to have people like us. We had to be the in crowd. I always say, how about this for a change? When you're worried about, say you go to a meeting, you go to something at work or wherever you are or whatever it is, go in there with the understanding that nobody likes you. But you know what? You could sit down and be happy. Because if you're depending on the outside, the real happiness is here. That's momentary pleasure. If somebody says, oh, hey, you look nice today, you dressed up nice, oh, you're a nice person. That's momentary. And then we get upset. On the other side, that's pleasure. And pleasure always leads to devastation, because on the other side, when somebody says something negative, if we're basing our life on that. Just like the man who has $1 million, he'll want 2, and he'll be upset when he meets somebody who has $2 million or has a yacht or whatever. We talk about the billionaire, and they're all unhappy. We're in this program. We come here, a lot of us come here very upset and depressed, but by working these steps, and I said this at the other meetings, the so-called normal people that we see, after a while, when you work these steps, you have that spiritual awakening, as step 12 says, you start to see they're running around like a chicken without a head on. They're trying to control everything, and like with the food plan, they're trying to, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. Hey, I'm not to say a certain type of planning and stuff is bad. Look, I don't want to go with that. But I'm telling you one thing, that spiritual change, the design for living, looking at the food differently, is a whole thing. Look, these steps, I got a story for you. Here's something. It's a one-all solution. What I'm reading here, when I read step 1 even, step 2, whatever, step 3, you can go to step 3, have faith, a little bit of faith, that amazing grace of a higher power comes in. But here's an analogy here. So this king, he wanted, his feet were hurting him, right? So he said to himself, he goes, look, this is what we're going to do. He goes to the local guy, the guy owns a carpet store, right? And then he says to the guy at the carpet store, look, this is what you got to do. You got to carpet the whole kingdom, right? You gotta, this is what you have to do. So the king leaves, and the guy's going to himself, oh my, he says, I'm going to die. He's going to kill me, because how am I going to carpet the whole kingdom, right? So what he does, he goes back, he figures it out. He goes to the king the next day, and he brings with him a pair of shoes that has carpeting underneath the shoe, the soles, right? Hey, think of the sole like our soles. So there you go. So here he put the carpeting in. The king walked around the whole kingdom. He was happy. That's the way it is. We get the carpeting of our lives are around us. If you want that faith and you work these steps, you'll have that carpeting, that amazing grace. You'll have that refuge in a higher consciousness. You'll feel safe and protected, as it talks about in our promises, because you have that carpeting. But what do? We're like what the king wanted. The king wanted the whole place carpeted. So what do? We go around life, we try to control this person, that situation. If only they would act like I think they should be, want to be the director of the play, right? This is the way we run our lives. This is the way we run it with our addiction to food. If I control this, if I do this, if I have a little bit of that. Once we have